Hi, everybody. This is Marilyn. Do we have any audio for this? Thanks. Hello, everybody. This is Marilyn, and it is time for the noon edition of Welcome to My World. This is the 8th of June, and it is a Wednesday, crude oil inventory day. So, these indices kind of look to me like they just about huffed and puffed and wore themselves out. There have been some nice trades, though. YM gave some nice trades, and I know NQ did, and it looks like TF has been the one with a little stronger trend. The rest of them have had some up move, and then they took a pretty good down move, and now they're kind of dragging themselves back to the north side of town, but they're still north of settlement. So, and I have YM up with green apexes and everything. So the dollar is what kind of has it's kind of making this a little still. Everything's a little still. If you notice, there's not a tremendous amount of inventory of volume coming through. The dollar seems to be, the dollar and the euro are just in a hovering mode. Keep in mind we're about, I think, 2 weeks from the Brexit referendum, and that will really cause these currencies to move, no matter which way they go. But the big news in literally in all the markets has been that yesterday West Texas and Brent has done this a couple 3 days ago, but West Texas closed above 50. And if it can hold this close and remain above 50, it looks like it might close above 50 again today. But if it will hold the line at the 50 mark through Thursday and Friday, especially by Friday, then any downturn in crude oil is likely to be, the big boys taking out stops. So they may push it back down to run those stops out and then jerk it back. But it's, as long as it will have some consistency in holding above 50, that's kind of the line in the sand for it. Somebody asked a question here about 18,000 on the YM. That is a big number, and it's a psychological number. I think everybody is aware that in the bigger picture, in the grander scheme of things, the U.S. economy is not as good as the Mensa crowd would have us all believe. But that 18,000 is a psychological number. If this continues to go on up, I mean, where is the Dow going to go? Well, the Dow's going to go to, I don't know, 20,000 or 25 or whatever. The question is, when? That might be 5 years. It might be this year. It might be, this is the glorious thing about trading. It is so interesting because every single day is different. It is never the same day after day. You start to see patterns in behavior, and if you can tie those to news events or to geopolitical things that are affecting it, then that's great. But the markets do not do things with no explanation whatsoever. I mean, radical things just go crazy. So as long as we stick to these indicators, every day is going to be different. So if you try to overthink all this. Somebody put in the chat this morning, and it was a very helpful post, I thought. They reread Trading in the Zone by Mark Douglas. And that, if you haven't read that, I strongly suggest you do that, because he makes a big point about trust your system. If you have a system that you know has a high degree of probability, a high degree of accuracy, trust the system and take the trade. It'll all work out in the end. Yes, there's no 100%. I mean, there's no system that's 100%. If there was, we'd all be using it. But the system that we use at Apex is it's superior to anything I've ever seen in my life, and it is so on target. But you do have to pay attention to what you're doing. But when you see one of these entries, an E or one of Lori's C's trades or whatever strategy that you're using, take the trade. Don't sit there and overthink it, because, you know, the train left the station by then. So, yeah, that Dan got the audio version. I only have the hardback kind, but the audio ought to be great, because every time you get in the car, just start it up. That once that gets put into the brain, there is just a wealth of good trading information in there, and it's literally it's the part that affects between your right ear and your left ear, and that's the most important part of trading. So just follow the system. You're always going to have losses. It's cost of doing business. You're not going to do business without some losses. The idea here is that you have far more wins for far more ticks than you do losses for fewer ticks. So anyway, we've got the VIX right now is trading just a hair over 14. I don't know if this sells off going into the close, we're going to have that VIX up a little higher tomorrow. So the other thing I noticed today that I double-checked is the degree of contango in crude oil. And that is also another pretty good sign that it's going to hold this 50 mark. And if it does go below it, it shouldn't go very far below for very long, because the back months are right now trading into the 52s. And I imagine by tomorrow we'll be trading into the 53s. So let's see. Tomorrow we're going to have a little bit of news in the morning, I think. 8:30 we have Canadian dollar will be affected by some of their economic numbers and our wonderful claimed unemployment. And then we'll have wholesale inventories for about 10. And at 10:30, anytime you see these big central banks that make they're going to make an announcement or whatever. Tomorrow at 10:30 is the Bank of Canada financial system review. And for those of you who trade nat gas on the Nadex, I certainly do not recommend you trade nat gas in futures. Although it is available to you, you probably only do that once before you say, I don't think I like that so much. But Nadex, that they do have both binary and spread contracts on it. And tomorrow's the inventory. So every Thursday at 10:30 is the inventory. This afternoon at 1 o'clock, well, if you trade the ZN, there is the 10-year bond auction, and tomorrow will be the 30-year auction at 101.